I'm Yuri.
We're going for a drive.
'22 Porsche 911
GT3 with launch control. Okay, we're in the wet. Oh my god. Let's explain the launch before we get to the horsepower and torque.
It's wet, but it was dry when we showed up.
Yeah, so we're also going to show you dry footage when we're actually able to launch this, and it launched like crazy.
Horsepower and torque.
502 horsepower, 346 pound-feet of torque from a 4-liter flat-6 engine.
And we are at TMP Cayuga because this car is a little too crazy for public roads, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so. This thing is, Yuri, I don't like to use this term lightly, a weapon.
No, this is definitely a weapon. Going through this track in the dry, it felt like you didn't even need to be on any racing lines and you were still faster than pretty much anything.
Yeah, now it's definitely a little bit sketchy. I mean, it's also a little bit fun, so I'm gonna be off the racing line. I'm gonna be skidding a little bit here and there. I'm gonna be understeering a little bit here and there because in the dry, this thing did not understeer at all. This new suspension is like some miracle suspension. It's double wishbone in the front, which is not a miracle. That's been around for other cars, but this is the first time that the Porsche 911 has it.
So this is the first GT3 of the 992 generation, but I guess like last year they were selling GT3s that were the 991s.
991.2.
Yeah.
So there is going to be GT3 RS coming as well. I'm sure that's going to be wild. There's already spy shots of apparently the wing moves. Anyways, let's stick to this one right now.
So this one has a similar motor to the Speedster that we drove. That was my favorite car ever.
Yes, so this has individual throttle bodies. Apparently this engine is motorsports derived. It is almost identical, is what Porsche says, to their GT3 Cup car. And Yuri, let's let this engine sing because now I'm actually gonna have some traction. No, I'm not. Oh my god. Okay, so I did have to let off there because there's no traction in the wet.
And this was with ESC off, not ESC plus traction off, which is kind of like sport traction and then traction all the way off for other Porsches.
Exactly, so there's nothing labeled sport because, well, this car is beyond sport, I would say.
And even with ESC off in the dry, you could push it to the point where you should oversteer, and it like bogs down in a nice way to keep you going fast.
Right, exactly. It prioritizes speed because this is that type of vehicle. This is not a drifty drift vehicle, and honestly, this car's too expensive. I don't want to drifty drift it too much today.
I mean, I want to. But...
Yeah, I know, but like, all right, here, a little bit.
see, it's doing so much computer stuff, but if you had ESC and TC off,
exactly,
it would be so easy.
Yes.
And then I guess the next elephant in the room, we've got this awesome manual transmission looking automatic shifter.
Yes, manual transmission looking is the greatest way to describe this because yes, it has like a surround, like a suede thing, like a manual transmission.
Yeah, and it says PDK, it's super fast.
It's a 7-speed, and we also have PDK race in this, and it shifts well. Yeah.
Except it's super wet.
Yes.
But this is different from the regular 992 that has the bronze shaver style that Will Smith made look super not badass in the Bad Boys 3 trailer.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Yes.
We made fun of that in our first 992 review, and that's probably the reason why they have this shifter.
Yes, we are fully responsible for this sort of mockery of a manual transmission shifter, but you can get a manual transmission in this, which is awesome.
Yeah, and apparently the take rate is super high, which is awesome too.
Depending on the country, it's actually, I believe in the States, it's like 50-50 or something like that, so shout out Americans.
And the weirdest part about the shifter is to get it into gear, you have to push down on the top with your thumb, which like caught me completely off guard.
Right, yeah. Okay, Yuri, this is one of those reviews. You know what I'm gonna do. Oh my god. Okay, so this pulls so hard. It's got about 2 extra horsepower from the previous one because of those ITBs. But like you said, it's the same engine as in the Speedster, basically.
Similar. Yeah,
yes.
the basically part, yeah.
Rear-wheel drive. We also have an electronic limited slip differential because it's the PDK. If you get the manual, you actually get a mechanical limited slip, which is interesting.
I'm going to assume you can flat foot shift the manual.
I'm going to assume that as well.
Because we could the Speedster.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you guys right from the start, as much as I love this car, the Speedster is the best 911 in the world, and nothing can change my mind.
I mean, I like it a lot, but I really like the regular ones. Like, look at this one. Okay, let's talk about what this looks like now. Let's start with the wing. We have so much extra downforce from that wing. We have so much extra downforce from the rear diffuser, and we'll get to the front in a second.
Okay, the wing is cool because it's like a top-mounted wing, which isn't a normal thing.
It's a swan neck, basically straight up motorsports wing.
And then the adjustableness is by hand. It's not automatic. Like, I think there's some...
Yeah, you have to unbolt.
I forget which car it was, but it was turning the spoiler sideways. This is not that.
Yeah, no, you have to unbolt this one manually with like Allen keys. And that wing in the performance position, which is not road approved, delivers more than twice as much downforce for use on the racetrack. And I read that straight off the website.
Twice as much as the non-race position?
Yes.
Or how much more than the last gen?
I believe overall 60%, but I believe when it's in that performance position, it's 150%.
I would love to have someone set that up for me because I don't know this stuff.
Yeah, just send this thing at like whatever, 200 miles an hour.
Go to the Porsche clubs at CTMP and have the guys tune it for me. Be like, you would like this. I'm like, yes, okay, thanks.
Yes. Also, you need to trust me on this entry speed.
Yeah.
So we have the swan neck for extra downforce, the rear diffuser for extra downforce, the front lip for extra downforce, and the fender vents provide twice the downforce as the previous generation, so a total of 60% more downforce than the previous gen.
And the rear diffuser looks pretty awesome, and we've got cool dual exhaust in the middle. Should we
take a listen to the outside? Yeah.
Particulate filter, because this is a European model, so the North American one is actually going to be a lot louder.
Yeah, and as good as this one sounds, let's take a listen. North Americans are getting an even better sound, which is amazing.
But off the launch control, the way it pings off is so perfect. But when it comes to actual launches, 992, 911, Turbo S, all-wheel drive, launches harder is better.
Okay, so the actual launch. So this can do in the dry 0 to 60 in about 3.2, but I'm sure you can actually get better in dry conditions. Let's just do one more, Yuri. This is a special occasion.
And then I'll drive and talk about more looks and then more launches.
I had to feather it. Oh my god. 9,000, 9,000, 9,000. All right, Yuri, let's get you into the launch control position.
Ready?
Send it.
Hot tamale!
My god.
Okay, I'm gonna let off a bit because it is a little wet and sketchy.
Yo, you have to.
The best thing about this launch control is when you're in manual mode, you get shift lights, which I haven't really seen in a 911 before like this. They come in from the side when you move it to manual. And you know how I don't really like this 992 style tack?
Yep.
The shift lights make up for it.
And this tack, I think, is one of the best ones in the 992 generation because when you have the car off, it's just the tack in the middle. It looks so cool because it's still analog.
Back to the looks. The front end does look different than the rest of the 992s. I think they did a great job of making this look GT3-ish, but do you like this or the previous gen GT3 more?
I like the previous gen GT3 more. I think it just looks cleaner. This is more of like an RS appearance already. Like they have elevated the performance of this car, so they elevated the looks of it to kind of match the previous RS.
It looks very future to me, and I really like it. I still like the Speedster front end more.
What about these headlights? They got the four dots.
The little X thing too, when you have the middle light on. They are very good, Yuri approved.
And on these particular headlights, we also have the optional shark blue circles around them, which is interesting.
And that also matches the circles on the wheels and the color of the car, shark blue, which is the press car color.
Yeah, what do you think of this color?
I think it's a good press car color, but I think it's very Focus RS-y and like every single Mustang, so it's, yeah, you know me, I don't really like blue cars.
I definitely do like this color.
But I love the matching seatbelt inside. I think that's really cool.
Again, option, everything's an option on this car. We also have the stitching in here as well.
And then back to the front, we do have some cool hood vents in there. When you pop the hood, like they're all still down there.
Yeah, and that's all for extra aero and downforce because the front bumper also has extra downforce now. The theme of this car is obviously downforce.
This is like a street legal race car.
They've taken everything from the RS and just moved it down the line.
Okay, from the side view, totally normal 911, but the way the wheels fit into the car, it's so low.
Okay, so you can actually adjust the suspension on this car so you can actually lower it or raise it from the factory. You can also change the camber and the stiffness of the anti-roll bars.
And we've got staggered wheels, larger in the back and smaller in the front.
Yeah, so they're actually 21s in the back. They're huge. You know, relax, bro. It's getting old. If you don't get the reference, just someone's gonna comment the reference.
And then do you like these wheels?
Yeah, I do like them. Do you like how they feel around that turn?
It's a little hairy in the wet with like traction on like the middle one. But the wheels look good. They're like, I guess, a lot more spaced out than the last one. I don't think they look as good as the previous gen, but I think they are lighter.
Yeah, and I also wouldn't go with the shark blue matching color as well. I think that's a very 10-year-old thing to do now.
It looks good for press cars though.
Oh, it does, but I wouldn't do that for my personal.
And then what would be the Continental recommended tire for the new GT3?
The Extreme Contact Sport.
So what other cool things do we have in here to make it a little bit faster?
Well, Yuri, we have lightweight glass on the sides, the front, and the rear, which is pretty cool.
I couldn't notice the difference.
And we also have these carbon fiber race buckets, which also save an additional bunch of weight.
I love these Porsche seats. And then there's no back seats because it's a GT3, which is awesome because you don't want to put anyone back there anyways.
Again, the theme of this car, saving weight and downforce.
You know, I'm going to try putting it in drive. I'm in track mode, and I'm going to floor it and see what happens.
Okay. Hooked up.
And it only had to drop 1 gear.
Yeah. So the 7-speed is lightning fast. We do have an PDK race, which you can change through the drive mode settings on your steering wheel because this has a unique mode because you can actually customize your gauges from track to sport.
And you can change those settings by pushing the button in the middle, which is usually a sport response.
Right.
But there's no turbos here.
No, and I like the fact that they actually remove the side gauges when you put it into track mode, which I think is Porsche admitting that those side pods are actually really hard to see because we've complained about that in the past because the steering wheel takes up those side pods.
But you don't really like need the stuff in there. That's kind of what they're showing. It's just like fancy extra stuff for the normal road cars, and then this is like the race car, even though the normal road cars are like super fast too.
Yeah, exactly.
That was with ESC off.
And we also have carbon ceramic composite brakes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna test them on the rain because
Yeah,
probably won't do much.
We
But
did test them out earlier. And
in
they
the
were
dry, yeah,
fantastic.
very, very nice, no
Yes.
fade. Like, there's just like nothing wrong with this car, especially not to my standards of driving.
The thing is, we knew there was going to be nothing really wrong with it, but the fact is, like, how much they actually improved over the last gen is insane because the turn-in to me is the biggest difference. Like, it's so noticeable and so different from other Porsches. Like, the Turbo S that we've driven, the Carreras, the Targas, it just feels totally different.
Yeah, and this does have the camera adjusted for track mode right now too.
Yes, we are in a track setting right now.
But okay, say I was on a normal road, I'm in drive, let me put it into normal.
Okay, normal.
It's gotta
Chilling, yeah,
it's
yeah.
gotta chill out.
Yeah, yeah.
This feels pretty dailyable.
Oh, of course. The suspension is stiffer, noticeably, but you can also change the chassis from track to sport.
But even in normal mode, you're like, oh, I gotta do this like left turn.
Oh my, yeah. There's no body roll. This thing's flat. It's crazy. And it's so well balanced, like, man.
And we forgot to do the cup holder test. It fits great. The visor does not extend. 3, 2, 1.
No, fail.
And this is what the frunk looks like.
And here's the frunk. Sorry guys, hectic day.
So then infotainment wise, normal 992 infotainment, literally nothing to mention because we mention it in every video and it's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same, except this being a European version does not actually have a backup camera.
Yeah, and then this doesn't have Sirius XM, which kind of sucks because right now it's Beach Boys Radio on 105 and I am loving Beach Boys summer.
Who cares? Beach Boys sucks. I'ma say it.
Look at the shirt.
I'ma say it.
You're literally a Beach Boy.
I wish.
All Beach Boys songs were about cars and stuff. They're literally the coolest car band in the world.
Bro, they sang about PT Cruisers.
Oh, that was after. That was just Al Jardine had his own little solo album.
Anyways.
So with the Beach Boys rant out of the way, I think it's time we get to the price.
Okay, so this one starts at $180,300.
Canadian.
And this one's spec'd out to $222,340.
This car is insane, and if you can get in line at a dealership and get one, which is actually very difficult, I think you should, and definitely in a manual.
Yes, you should definitely get the manual, even though this PDK is ridiculous and you lose, what, I think like 0.2 or 0.4 of a second for a launch.
Time's running out. If you buy it in automatic or PDK, also buy a manual to go along with it, I think.
Yes, to get 2 allocations while you're at it.
This or previous gen GT3.
I mean, I'd save the money and go for a previous gen, but this is so nice.
Performance and stuff wise.
I would actually have to drive them back to back to be able to tell. Like, the steering is the most noticeable, but the engine's the same, basically. It still sounds so good.
If money didn't matter, I would take a newer one, I think, just because this felt like so amazing. Like even right now in the Dam, it feels next level.
Yeah,
but
seeing this on the road, like,
Would you
the wing. Okay, the wing is definitely next level.
Would you take this over a Speedster?
Yes. I don't like the Speedster that much.
I would love the Speedster over this, no problem.
And if you're shopping for a new Porsche 911 and you live in the United States, click the TrueCar link below. There's a discount when using the Straight Pipes link.
You can also shop for a used 911 using TrueCar. And if you live in Canada, there's a Car Help Canada link as well.
So let us know what you guys think of the new 992 GT3. Sorry for this kind of interesting review and strictly track just because the time with it was very, very short.
Would you take this over a last gen GT3? Do you like the GT4 stuff more, or do you want to see a GT2 of this generation?
Ooh, I'd have to go GT3 for sure. It's so special, 9,000 naturally aspirated.
Would you take a Cayman GT4 manual over a GT3 in PDK?
GT3. I take the PDK.
You know the PDK?
9,000 is so special. 8,200 is not as special. I don't need it. 9,000 I need.
All right, okay, so that's your PDK manual limit.
Yes, 9,000.